Shabbos, stay tuned. There's a Gavaldiga podcast. Rabbi Steve Geller does a Gavaldiga Zach, and that'll be coming out this week. Torah Giants on Chumash. Shalom Uvrach, and welcome to the weekly piece on the Parsha from Torah Giants on Chumash, written by Rabbi Yitzchak Meir Goodman, the Rabbi Emeritus of Young Israel Rockaway. Sit back and enjoy.
Welcome to Torah Giants on Chumash. I'm Steve Geller. The episode in our Parsha of Moshe hitting the rock is the very definition of mysterious and difficult to interpret or understand. We've all spent time going over the commentaries trying to explain this episode, and Rabbi Goodman will touch on some fascinating ones here. And we're also in for a surprise with our own Rav Eytan Feiner Shlita actually touching on why the episode had to be left a mystery. Take the staff and gather the assembly together, you and Aaron your brother, and speak to the rock before their eyes. And it shall give forth its water, and you shall bring forth water out of the rock, so you shall give the congregation and their animals to drink. And Moshe took the staff from before Hashem as he commanded him. And Moshe and Aaron gathered the congregation together before the rock, and he said to them, "Hear now, you rebels, shall we fetch you water from this rock?" And Moshe lifted up his hand, and with his staff he hit the rock twice, and the water came out abundantly, and the congregation drank, and their animals as well. The Ksaf Sofer incorporates a theory that includes why Aaron was punished along with Moshe. Moshe hit the rock twice. Obviously, nothing happened the first time. This was Aaron's opportunity to remind Moshe that they were supposed to speak to the rock first, yet he remained silent. In a second discussion, the Ksaf Sofer asks two questions. Why was Moshe told to bring his staff if he only had to talk to the rock? And our pasuk says, "Speak to the rock, and it shall give forth its water." But then it says, "And you shall bring forth water from the rock." Isn't that second statement superfluous? The Ksaf Sofer suggests that Hashem wished to outdo the miracle of 40 years earlier, where the instruction to Moshe was to hit the rock to bring forth the water. But now in our Parsha, the people would see the amazing miracle that by just talking to the rock, water would suddenly gush forth. But this would only function momentarily. After this miracle, Moshe would then hit the rock, and huge amounts of water would stream out of it to satisfy the entire nation. But by not speaking to the rock first, this greater Kiddush Hashem did not occur, and the result was only a repetition of the earlier event. Therefore, Hashem admonished Moshe and Aaron for not believing in him and for preventing the more spectacular Kiddush Hashem. Many decades ago, Rabbi Goodmans spent Shabbos Chukas in Philadelphia with his friend Rav Yehoshua Rachtvogel, who asked Rabbi Goodman to give a Dvar Torah at Shalosh Shudas. Going over these psukim Shabbos afternoon, a question suddenly struck him. Since in Chumash Shmos, in a similar situation, Hashem had told Moshe to hit the rock to extract water, why in fact did he change the procedure 40 years later? A possible answer came to mind. In Shmos, having just left the bondage of Egypt, the people still carried a slave mentality. Slaves respond to beatings. Hitting the rock was the hint that they must behave obediently or face familiar physical punishments. But in our Parsha, it's 40 years later. Hashem was, in effect, telling Moshe that the new generation was raised learning the Torah they received 40 years earlier. They were intellectually oriented, mature, and ready for a loftier message. Moshe should demonstrate that even a rock heeds the words of Hashem, so the people must be ready to do the same. However, Moshe was very angry, calling them rebels. Moshe felt as rebels they still needed the message of the staff that beats, just as they did 40 years earlier. If this analysis of the sin is correct, it fits perfectly with Hashem's admonition to him in Pasuk 12. Because you did not believe in me to sanctify me in the eyes of Bnei Yisrael, therefore you shall not bring them to the land that I have given them. If you have no faith in your flock and cannot address them in a manner that would show confidence in them, you can lead them no further. A leader must have faith in his followers. Decades later, as he prepared the Torah Giants Sefer, Rabbi Goodman discovered that this idea, with only small variations, was conceived by Rav Yaakov Tzvi Mecklenburg in his Sefer Haksav VaHakabbalah. In yet another angle, the Maharsha finds a puzzling contradiction in two of Rashi's comments. In our Parsha, he says that Moshe's sin was hitting the rock rather than talking to it. The Torah discloses the fact that but for this sin alone, Moshe and Aaron would have entered into Israel. But in the Gemara Sanhedrin, Rashi states the sin was that he angrily called out, "Listen, you rebels." The Sefer Beis Shmuel Achron offers a solution, and it is layered and beautiful. The real sin was hitting the rock. However, Chazal teach that Kol Hamavir al Midosav, Ma'avirin lo al Kol Pisha'av. Whoever controls his temper and easily forgives will have all of his sins forgiven. Surely this would include Moshe, the most humble of men. However, when Moshe became so furious as to chastise the people by calling them rebels, he lost this merit and then could be punished for hitting the rock. Therefore, Rashi's two explanations fit perfectly hand in hand. These are two beautiful insights into the episode of Moshe hitting the rock, but of course, just a few of the volumes of opinions on why Moshe was punished. Rabbi Feiner asked me this morning what piece I was going to do this week, and I told him I picked some of Rabbi Goodmans' explanations of the scene we will never really understand. The Rav literally shot me a look and with a smile said, "Why is that? Why can't we understand what happened with the rock and why Moshe couldn't go into Eretz Yisroel?" And that started him in on one of his famous instant streams of thought that became some of the most profound Torah you will hear.
What exactly was the chait of Moshe Rabbeinu? Just tell us what it was. Maybe it was that he hit the rock instead of speaking. Tell us, why do we have such debate in the Rishon Mendach? Shimshon Pincus has this kasha. He explains Moshe. Because in the Chadavar Hami Fnei Tshuva, nothing that stands in the way of Tshuva. If the Torah had spelled out what his chait was, then Moshe Rabbeinu would have known exactly what his chait was. And then he would have done the requisite tshuva, and then he would have gone to Etzrol. We don't know why, but Hashem had a gazera, Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't going to Etzrol. Again, like the Medrash says, had Moshe gone to Etzrol, then he would have built the Beis HaMikdash. Then Hashem could never destroy the Beis HaMikdash. He would have to destroy Klai Yisrael, Chas V'Shalom. So there was a gazera, he can't go in. Hashem can't be Megala to Moshe. He just says, what? You are Mekadesh. By not doing, or by doing what? We have no clue why. As if the Torah would spell it out. Then Moshe Rabbeinu would know why. And if he would know why, then he would do tshuva. And he would be able to go and touch Yisrael. And that's the power of tshuva. That's the power of tshuva.
Just amazing. And I'm so fortunate to be able to spend a few precious moments with the Rav a few times a week. And as you know, I'm all too eager to share his brilliance with all of us in our modest podcast. And it's just another reason why you should like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and of course, hit the share button and paste the link to this video into emails, Facebook, texts, WhatsApp groups, or your social media of choice. They will all appreciate you for it, and we will all be fulfilling the potential of Rabbi Goodmans' life's work and Rabbi Feiner's profound genius. Your yeshiva is a storehouse of great Rebbeim and Torah. It shares it. Our Gedolim don't conceal their holy Torah, they share it. We daven to Hashem for our chelik in the Torah. He shares it. So when you come up with chidushim in your learning, that's your Torah. Share it.